So I'd be interested in like how do you approach kind of like real-time risk trade-off decisions, and like how do you think about making those decisions when you don't have time to prepare?
Yeah, so I'll start in mission control because that's an easier example for me. But um, so you prepare yourself. You can never prepare yourself for everything you're going to see in mission control or in life, but you can prepare yourself for certain things, and the thought process that you use to do that will help you deal with events that are unexpected. So at NASA, we knew that we had three primary goals whenever we're sitting there in mission control: protect the crew, protect the vehicle, their spacecraft, and be able to execute the mission. So those are the three things we keep in the back of our head, and we judge our risks associated with all of that. Now, in human spaceflight, the urgency factor is a little different than most office jobs, but not unlike what our military or first responders or healthcare professionals face, because they are faced with these life and death scenarios. And knowing that, it makes it easier for you to make a decision. And so something will happen, something fails. My first thing is the crew safe? Okay. All right. I don't need to take any immediate action to save the crew. Is the vehicle safe? Yes. All right. Are we going to be able to execute today's mission? Yeah. Tomorrow's mission? No. Okay. Let's dig into that and figure out what can we do to make sure we can execute tomorrow's mission. But it's a methodical, non-emotionally based approach to assessing risk. And you have to be able to take those emotions, those natural human emotions that you're feeling when you're faced with a situation like that, and set them aside, because they're not conducive to the logical thought process that you need to execute to arrive at a solution.
Are there, I don't want to say like training, or how do you, like, what is the development that you go through to start to make those kind of like, to learn that methodology and almost to take emotion out of the decision-making process?
Yeah. We have great training at work, and I when I worked in mission control, I worked for an organization called the Flight Operations Directorate, and that had our astronauts, our people that work in mission control, and the people that train both of those to do those jobs. And when we get new employees in, we actually send them to something called boot camp, and we take their brains and their concept of the world that they knew, and we remold them into almost I don't want to diminish what our military folks do by saying it's military style, but the approach is very similar in that there's a reprogramming that occurs. And now when you look at the world, you will think of the crew, the vehicle, and the mission. And we put them in scenarios where if they do have an emotional response and they can't complete their mission, they'll be physically removed. They know that they're not allowed to. You aren't allowed to do that. And so we train them. We keep giving them scenarios so that it almost desensitizes them from the emotional aspect, because they realize they can't do their job if they are spiking emotionally. So we'll have simulations. We review anything that we think can possibly fail on the vehicle, and we document that. If this fails, we're going to run this procedure. If this fails, we're going to refer to this flight rule that will guide us on what to do next. So you have policies, procedures, and flight rules that govern your behavior and kind of help put a non-emotional framework, a database framework on your response. And that training of the brain helps you when something really bad happens that is not documented, that you've never seen before. And you just remember, okay, that's startling. I don't have time to deal with that right now. I'm going to go through a logic-based approach to figure out what to do next and how to best deal with the risk or the manifestation of a risk.